Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story is one that sounds almost unbelievable, but it reminds us that sometimes the most extraordinary moments come from the most unexpected people. In one of the most luxurious private hospitals in the city, a billionaire woman named Victoria Hale sat silently in a large hospital room, staring through the window as rain slowly ran down the glass. Victoria was known around the world as a powerful business leader. She owned technology companies, luxury brands, and real estate across several countries. People saw her as confident, unstoppable, and almost untouchable. But in that quiet hospital room, she looked like someone completely different, because just a few days earlier, Victoria had given birth to twins, a boy and a girl. But the joy everyone expected never arrived. Doctors soon discovered something devastating. Both babies were born paralyzed from the neck down, and they were unable to speak. Specialists ran tests for days, bringing in experts from across the country. Every answer sounded the same. There was no cure. Victoria had faced ruthless competitors, billion-dollar losses, and global scandals before, but nothing had ever broken her the way this news did. The powerful billionaire who controlled empires now sat beside two tiny hospital beds. Feeling completely helpless, the twins were named Leo and Luna. They were beautiful children with bright eyes that followed movement around the room, but their little bodies remained still. Machines softly beeped beside them while nurses quietly checked monitors. Days passed, then weeks. The hospital staff did everything they could, but emotionally the room felt heavy. Some nurses whispered outside the hallway saying it was one of the saddest cases they had seen. Victoria stayed there almost every day. Board meetings happened over video calls. Assistants waited outside the room with documents, but her attention always returned to the twins. One evening, long after most doctors had gone home, Victoria stood up to stretch her legs. Through the slightly open door she noticed someone inside the nursery area. A janitor. His name was Daniel. Daniel was a quiet man in his early 40s who had worked at the hospital for years. Most people barely noticed him as he pushed his cleaning cart down the hallways late at night. But something unusual was happening. Instead of simply cleaning, Daniel had gently moved closer to the twins' cribs. Victoria immediately stiffened. At first, she thought he was doing something inappropriate or careless. After all, these were her children, and she had security watching everything. She stepped closer to the door. What she saw next made her freeze. Daniel slowly placed his cleaning gloves aside and washed his hands carefully. Then he pulled a small chair next to the twins. He began speaking softly. "Hey little warriors," he said with a warm smile. Victoria frowned in confusion. Daniel gently tapped the side of the crib rhythmically, almost like a soft drum beat. Then he hummed a quiet melody. The twins' eyes moved toward him. Victoria noticed something strange. Leo blinked repeatedly. Luna's fingers twitched slightly. It was small, incredibly small. But Victoria had spent weeks staring at them and had never seen that reaction before. Daniel continued. He whistled softly, then paused, then tapped twice again. "That's it," he whispered kindly. "I see you trying." Victoria suddenly pushed the door open. "What are you doing?" she demanded. Daniel jumped slightly and quickly stood up. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said nervously. "I was just saying hello." Victoria's expression was cold. "These are not toys. You're a janitor, not a doctor." Daniel nodded respectfully. "Yes, ma'am, I understand." He picked up his cart and quietly left the room. But Victoria couldn't shake what she had seen. That small movement, that reaction. The next day, doctors ran their usual checkups. Nothing changed in the reports. Medically, the twins were the same. Yet that night, Victoria couldn't sleep. Around midnight she stood and walked down the hallway. Again, and there he was. Daniel. Again. Near the nursery. This time Victoria didn't interrupt. She watched silently. Daniel sat beside the twins again and repeated the same strange rhythm. Tap. Tap. Pause. Soft. Humming. Leo's eyes followed him immediately. Luna blinked. Faster. Victoria's heart started beating harder. Daniel then held a small folded piece of paper in front of them and slowly moved it left and right. "Follow the sound," he whispered. The twins' eyes tracked it. Victoria covered her mouth. For weeks, specialists had tried stimulation therapy, but the babies rarely reacted this clearly. After a few minutes, Victoria stepped inside. Daniel immediately stood. "Again, I'm sorry, ma'am," he said quickly, but this time, Victoria's voice sounded different. "Do it." Again, Daniel looked confused. "Ma'am, what you were doing," she said. "Do it again." Slowly, uncertainly, Daniel sat back down and repeated the rhythm. Tap, tap, hum. Within seconds, the twins reacted again. Victoria felt tears fill her eyes. "Help," she whispered. Daniel looked embarrassed. "My younger sister was born with severe nerve damage," he explained quietly. "Doctors said she wouldn't move or communicate, but my mother used rhythm and sound therapy with her every day." Victoria listened intensely. "It took years," he continued, "but eventually she learned to respond with her eyes first. Then small finger movements." Victoria's voice trembled. "Why didn't you tell the doctors?" Daniel shrugged slightly. "I'm just a janitor. People usually don't listen. The room fell silent. For the first time since the twins were born, Victoria felt something unfamiliar. Hope. The next morning she ordered the hospital's top neurologist to observe Daniel's interaction. At first they were skeptical, some even annoyed, but after watching several sessions, their attitudes changed. The twins were responding to sound patterns more consistently than before. One doctor leaned toward another, whispering, "That's actually a form of neural stimulation." Another nodded slowly. Victoria turned to Daniel. "Would you be willing to help them every day?" Daniel looked stunned. "Me? Yes. I'm not trained like your specialists." Victoria replied firmly. "But you saw something they didn't." So every evening, Daniel returned. Tap, 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 pause, music, soft. Conversation. Weeks passed. Then something happened that no one expected during one session. Luna moved her finger clearly. A nurse gasped. A doctor rushed closer. Victoria began crying. Immediately. Daniel smiled gently. "There you go," he whispered. Progress remained slow, but it was real. The twins started responding with eye movements more frequently. Doctors adapted the therapy, adding lights and sounds based on Daniel's rhythm method. News quietly spread inside the hospital. Staff members, who once ignored the janitor, now stopped to watch. Months later, another milestone arrived. Leo managed a small sound. Not a word. Just a faint vocal noise, but in that moment the entire room erupted in celebration. Victoria hugged both children, while tears streamed down her face. Then she turned to Daniel. "You changed their future." Daniel shook his head. "They did the hard work." But Victoria wasn't finished. 1 week later, she called a press conference. Reporters filled a large hall expecting a business announcement. Instead, Victoria walked onto the stage, holding both twins, and standing beside her was Daniel in his janitor uniform. Cameras flashed rapidly. Victoria spoke into the microphone. "The world knows me as a billionaire," she said, "but today, I want to talk about someone far more important." She placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. "This man reminded me that compassion and attention matter more than titles." Reporters whispered in confusion. Then Victoria made an announcement that shocked everyone. She had created a new rehabilitation foundation dedicated to helping children with neurological conditions, and Daniel would help lead the therapy program. Gasps spread across the room. A journalist raised a hand. "You're putting a janitor in charge." Victoria smiled calmly. "No," she said, "I'm putting a man who cares in charge." The story exploded across the internet. People around the world shared the clip. Janitor helps billionaire twins move. Unexpected hero changes medical case. But the most important moment wasn't the headlines. It happened quietly. One afternoon, months later, Daniel sat beside the twins. Again, tap, hum. Leo slowly turned his eyes toward Victoria and made a soft sound. Victoria froze. Then she burst into tears of joy. Doctors stared in disbelief. Daniel simply smiled. Because sometimes miracles don't come from fame, power, or money. Sometimes they arrive pushing a cleaning cart down a hospital hallway. And sometimes the person the world overlooks is the one who changes everything.